Hi. So I am 60 points ahead of Lyle going into the last day. We've got roughly the same number of players playing. I still have one player add and drop in my sleeve. Lyle has a few. Um, so it's going to be pretty close tomorrow. I don't think a 60-point lead is super comfortable. I am hoping I come away with the win, but we'll see. And so I've had a look at next week's roster in order to think about who I'm going to add and drop tomorrow, in terms of who's playing, where I can get back-to-backs. Um, but more generally now, I'm thinking about the following week, whatever's going to be will be tomorrow. So I'm thinking about my next opponent, which is Sean. And going into next week, I notice a few things like Orlando only has two games. I have an Orlando player. Washington has two games. I also have a Washington player. And so that's a bit of a bummer for me. Um, that means I'm going to be down games compared to Sean starting the week. That sucks. In terms of players I pick up this week, happy to pick a Portland player up early, maybe, but going into next week, they only play two games, so I won't want one towards the end of next week. So, um, they're things that I'm thinking about. If I look at the fantasy roster, like no one is playing any games in the middle here, right? Like there's nothing happening. So it's kind of split in two. This creates some interesting things this week that are worth noting. Um, I'll just show you my forecast against Sean going into next week. So I've got a couple of players on the bench, but Sean and I are going to be pretty close next week, and there's so little in it. Like this is what it looks like. Um, really equal that first day. He might win the second day, but I'll pick some players up. I might win the third day, really equal that fourth day. He might win this day and I'll win a little bit here. But when it comes down to it, there is nothing in it at all. And what does that mean? Well, that means in order to get an advantage or to be more secure, um, to get ahead, I'm really going to have to care about player adds and drops next week. So when I'm looking at the roster for next week, there isn't a lot of wiggle room. So just this beginning of the week, play games are being played, teams are playing once or twice. There's no back-to-backs here at all. So in terms of how you can optimize your player adds and drops, there's not a huge amount of power. Um, so that's a bit of a bummer. But going into the end of the week, there is, and like there is a bit more of an advantage in that there are some players who are playing like three games in a row. So like Charlotte here is going to play three games in a row. Uh, Detroit is going to play three games in a row. Milwaukee is going to play three games in a row because there's nothing happening in this middle game. Uh, Indiana is playing three games in a row. Who else is here? Phoenix is going to play three games in a row. So there's quite a bit of advantage you can be had. You can pick up one of these players and get that's one trade and basically get three games playing. So where like my Orlando guy might only play one game, I could have someone playing three instead. So I'm going to be on the lookout for those. And there's tons of back-to-backs in the later part of this week. Like I won't highlight them all. You can see them here. Um, in that second half of the week, there is like players are either playing, they're all playing two games basically. So it's just a question of like which combo of player adds and trades do you have? Do you have like one game and then pick up someone playing two games? Or do you have someone playing a back-to-back and then pick up playing someone playing one game? Like you just have to look at your pool and see what's available at the time and what works best. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at this week. I think I will be able to beat Sean if I'm smart about my player adds and drops. I don't think he thinks about the schedule in the same way I do, which is an advantage I've had over Lyle this week as well. To be fair, Lyle and I both left points in reserve this week. We didn't get players out in time. Um, so it should be a little bit closer perhaps than what it actually is at the moment. But yeah, that's my fantasy outlook for the rest of the week. Fingers crossed I beat Lyle tomorrow. It'd be nice to win one. Um, Lyle has gosh, what's his name? Jokic. So Jokic has dropped like 381 points so far this week. That's basically two and a half players is Jokic. So it's the fact that I'm still in the lead is kind of like quite good. I'm pleased with myself. Um, I really want to tidy some of this code up, expand it out, do some other things with it, but been super busy, so we get to do what we get to do. Um, But I should say, like, all of this is leading towards me building my own R package with these functions in it that allow other people to do this kind of forecasting for their team. Um, that's my end goal. And basically, none of this has got predictive modeling in it yet. So I'm still building out the infrastructure, and then I plan to add the predictive modeling side on it. Um, but one step at a time. Okay. Uh, Good luck with your fantasy.